And there you have it. The timeline is shifting a bit, folks, as reporters continue to delve into what did the White House know on this IRS controversy and when did it know it. Michelle Malkin is a columnist and a Fox News contributor. And now, initially it was that they knew an inspector general's report was coming, but they didn't know the findings. Only the White House counsel office, only the lawyers in the White House were told, IG report is coming, but we don't know the findings. Now we find out, well, actually, they did have a notification of the pending results. And not only did the counsel's office know, but the chief of staff was told, and other staffers were told, and the top of Treasury was told. And yet still they want us to believe, Michelle, that Barack Obama found out from cable news a couple of Fridays ago.
Yeah, where's my bag of popcorn? Because the clown carny press briefings have turned into a circus. I mean, we need some Benny Hill music for all of the backpedaling going on there. I think one of the key things to remember here, as many words are coming out of his unfettered mouth, the fact is that this administration made preemptive steps to try and cover their backsides before the official report came out. The idea that they had no idea about the bombshells that were about to explode is completely laughable.
And the thing that is disturbing is, why wouldn't they just say? Why wouldn't President Obama, if he knew? I mean, if your White House counsel knows, if your chief of staff knows, if several top officers within the White House know, and none of them tells you about something this big that Barack Obama himself said is he found it outrageous, possibly illegal. He's pushing to fire, people at the IRS. None of them told him or gave him a heads up saying, Mr. President, you need to know the investigation is going to come out and it's not going to be good. Yeah,
I mean, who knows? Perhaps it's just that plausible deniability shield that they were trying to encompass Obama in. But like I said, I don't buy the spinning going on right now from the White House press briefings or from Obama himself.
Of course you don't buy it because you're a conservative and you don't really like this particular president's policies. But the question is whether this is seeping out now beyond, party politics, because we've got Jay Carney on tape telling us that the White House and the State Department only changed one word in the Benghazi talking points, and we know that's not true. Now we have, them saying, oh, the White House, all we had, the counsel's office was told that an IG report was coming, but we didn't know any of the findings. Now we find out, well, maybe they did. And every day, and then we had Eric Holder saying, we only did that stuff to the AP because that was one of the worst leaks I've seen in my life. And now we find out, oh, and it was also done to James Rosen and Fox News this week. I mean, so is there a credibility problem?
Of course there is, and it's not merely because of my ideology that I give this particular administration such short shrift. It's the fact that I've been covering the way that they've operated, the bully brigade tactics, the way that they've tried to intimidate and criminalize their political opponents, enemies, and critics from day one, from even before day one in this White House. It's the way that Obama has operated.
That's where I want to pick it up with you. The Chicago way. That's where we'll pick it up right after this break. Stay with me. Michelle Malkin back with me now, and you were speaking of the Chicago way.
Yeah, right. This kind of brass-knuckled intimidation, whether it's directed now against grassroots activists and small nonprofits or reporters and journalists like James Rosen and Fox News, this is a theme that has been played over and over again, not only with this White House, but of course with the Obama campaign. And anyone who's really paying attention could see it, even back towards where you had Obama himself directing his minions to try and shut down a Chicago talk show host who wanted to talk about Obama's radical past. This happened at WGN with Stanley Kurtz when they were trying to talk about him. And then, of course, as time progressed, even many of these local and metropolitan newspapers were coming under fire. You had the San Francisco Chronicle, which was put under the thumb of this administration because they had a reporter who wanted to tape one of the fundraisers and did it and was chastised for it. There have been many local reporters who have been yelled at or screamed at or leaned on or pressured by this administration. So for everyone who has felt the boot of the Obama administration and its goons on their necks. I think tomorrow is especially a good day to make yourselves heard. And there are Tea Party patriots across the country who are going to be marching to their IRS offices locally at noon, taking time off. Most of them, of course, are gainfully employed or are small business employers themselves. Finally sick of it all, finally.
What do you think is going to happen with the Tea Party? Because they were so active and vocal in trying to stop the health care law and then engaged in a lot of candidacy, some of which were not successful, but many of which were successful. If you look at the overall record of the Tea Party, it's pretty darn good in terms of the candidates that they back. But they haven't been as vocal lately. And yet this whole thing seems to have revived them, their cause, given them credibility that the left would never give them. What do you think that happens to the Tea Party in the wake of all this?
Yeah, look, the Democrats and the liberal media tried to strangle this movement in its crib, and we now know as a result of this IRS scandal that the Obama administration itself, top brass, not just low-level rogues, have been trying to stifle their political activity and to undermine their freedom of assembly and their freedom of speech. I think what happened is that in the first wave, and I covered the Tea Party movement from its very nascent days, from the very first days, had to have this sense of public protest and demonstration, because people really need to realize that they were not alone. Social media was a huge help, of course, in organizing. And then there was a second stage where a lot of people were learning the nuts and bolts of political activism and engagement and started running for local and state offices. And all this time, of course, you had the Tea Party bashers and the water carriers for this administration and the Democrats pronouncing them dead, 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 while they were doing the hard work of turning a protest movement into a real political viable movement. And now it's not so much a resurrection, because of course the flame has always been there and continues to grow. And I think this is just another stage, another push to try and educate people. I think that's what tomorrow's about. Even if you can't get to an IRS office, put a yard sign in your yard and just simply declare, we will not stand down.
Michelle, Malkin, thanks so much for being here.
You bet.
All right, see you soon.